you can certainly do a PC build on the low. You're wondering if you can build a budget PC even in 2025. It's 100% possible. I'm going to show you exactly how, and you can have quite the beast of a PC. First, we have the AMD Ryzen 9600X. This is an excellent choice to start with, and it's not expensive. Crucial P3 Plus, which we got for $62.99 on sale at Micro Center. If you're interested in any of these products, make sure you check down in the description box below. Third, we have the Corsair Vengeance, which is 6,000 megahertz, and it's also only for $92.99 USD. You can always upgrade components such as RAM later in the future if you want. We have the ASUS Prime LC360, which is here's a customizable 2.3-inch display where it has live system stats. We decided to get Seasonic's Vertex PX1000 power supply, which is 80 plus platinum. It is also fully modular, ATX 3.0. Hopefully you guys were there when we shopped together for all these parts. So this build is thanks to the FanBam and built by the FanBam. So we're gonna see how well these parts go together. We also went with the Montech Air 903 Max PC case. It's a lovely case, and we got it for a great deal at Micro Center for $74.99. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I have all this junk on the table? Why the heck do I have alcohol on the table? And not the alcohol that you can drink, but this type of alcohol. Well, it's great for when you wipe off pre-applied thermal paste, which I plan to do. And also, if you want a more in-depth video on building a PC, please make sure you check out my 9800X3D build if you want to know how to build a AM5 PC build. This is just going to be a little bit more of a quicker build. Now, I usually use this iFixit kit. It has a ton of great tools. Definitely got to check it out. Or you can go with a little cheaper screwdriver set, which you can get for at a Home Depot, or you can go on Amazon for $4.99. You could typically get them, and they usually come with a bunch of bits inside. And I usually go with the Arctic Silver 5. And it's also good to have coffee filters on hand or some old microfiber cloths in hand to wipe off the stock paste that they give you with these AIOs. So let's go ahead and get this build started. What we have is the AMD Ryzen 9600X, as mentioned earlier. This would be a great addition to this board, especially when you are on a tighter budget. Now you're gonna see the arrow. Typically, I'll be right here up on the corner. Just gotta match it up. I know this part can be a little tricky, but don't worry too much about it. The key is just lining up the CPU directly to the corner, and you just want the notches to match up, then just drop it in. Just want to make sure it's flush. You see the corners sitting exactly where it should be. Don't worry if you hear creaking, that's perfectly normal. Install the M.2 Drive here. We are going with the Crucial P3 Plus. And again, you don't have to get PCI Express 5, especially on a budget build such as this. And you're not gonna take full capabilities of PCI Express 5 speeds, especially during gaming anyway. ASUS really makes it simple. Now you just have to line up the cover and just make sure to put the Phillips heads tight. Next is the RAM, which we're going to install the DDR5 Corsair's Vengeance. If you want to make sure you're on dual RAM, you want to make sure to follow the gray side. You want to always remember the RAM that when you install it is closer to the ATX connection. When we install the bracket for the AIO cooler, you're going to see something like this. It's going to say CPU. Just have to face it towards the CPU. Makes it pretty easy. You just have to remove these old mounts right there. When removing the screws, don't lose them because we're going to have to use them again. Some CPU coolers, they don't come with extra screws, so you'll have to reuse the ones that you used to take out the original brackets. Let's go ahead and grab the Montech Air 903 Max case so we can get the motherboard in there. It'll look more like a PC finally. Not bad at all, right? Take a look at this case. Only costed us $74.99. Has all the connections we want, Type C, and it even has fans built into it. That's pretty rare these days, and they look like they're ARGB. What I usually do, I like to strip it down completely because we will not need all these panels on there. I like to try to keep it panelless as possible. I want this naked right now. Usually they put all the screws inside. It's usually inside of like a hard drive case or SSD case, whichever comes in these Montech cases. Again, we got this at Micro Center. Great deal. Can't complain. There we go. And it becomes a whole lot lighter and easier to maneuver around. And I think we found the gold mine right there. We don't have to take out the front fans. We're gonna use the exhaust for the AIO. So we're gonna hook up the fans up on the top instead. And they give you a decent amount of fans actually. Take a look at that. They actually give you 140 millimeter fan and 3 fans. Montech definitely hooks you up. Now, let's put the motherboard in so it could look like a PC finally. Don't forget the laminate peel, otherwise it'll get stuck into your case. That would suck. Now carefully line up your motherboard alongside the motherboard standoff screws. Typically they'll be pre-mounted in a lot of cases. Perfect. Now all we got to screw it in. Take your time to screw it in. It should be nice and simple to screw in. If it feels a little tight, then try to reverse the screw and then reinstall, as it could be cross-threading. Time to throw the AIO on it. We have to thank ASUS for this, because now all the we don't have to worry about screwing in. And this is definitely very time consuming when you do this. So this is great that this is taken care of. For a minute, I thought these Phillips head screws would get in the way, but luckily Montech thought about that. And you can definitely install it up here on a little bit higher, just like this, and we should be okay. When you build PCs, it feels very peaceful, especially that you know you're about to build a beast. Especially for those who know they don't have to deal with console games anymore. It's something anybody could really do. Just take a little time to learn about the different components. Another tip is be patient when you put the screws in. You don't want to accidentally dent your radiator. Now we just have to put the thermal paste and we put the CPU cooler on. Now it's a good time to grab a microfiber cloth, an old one that you don't care about anymore and that you could dispose of because it's just going to get thermal grease all over it. Or you can just use a coffee filter to get most of the gunk off first and then use a microfiber cloth with a bit of alcohol. You just want to put a pea-size drip of thermal paste. Now we get set our CPU cooler. Usually I go in a star pattern, so I'll go from the top to bottom and then I'll go to the top to the bottom once more. With this AIO, I have a USB-C, I have a fan wire, and I also have a AIO pump wire. I will connect the pump wire first, and then afterwards I will connect the USB-C to the USB 2.0 header, and then I will connect the CPU fan. Now we go ahead and take this out. You need all this punched up. It's good to loosen the case wires, then it's a lot more easier and much more flexible to route the wires the way you want. So first I'll do the front panel, and then I'll add the audio, and then I'll add the fans and ARGBs. Just take your time to enjoy the build, don't get frustrated, and have the patience to plug in all the wires to the correct headers, then you won't have any issues. Next, we'll use some of the power supply cables, such as the CPU pins, which are 2 of them on top of the motherboard, and then we will connect the ATX. Next, I will route this 12 volt high power port through first, as there is nothing really connected, power supply nor GPU, but just have it ready. This power supply is quite magnificent. An 80 plus platinum power supply. It's quite the beast, and the cables they give you are just excellent. Definitely one of my favorite cables, just because of how flexible. They're not the rigid, stiff type of cables. So let's go ahead and install this. Let's connect the cables first, so that way it'll make it a lot easier when we install it. Make sure to put a lot of force on behind the 12-volt high power port because you don't want any shorts. Make sure all the wires fit comfortably, and now you can secure the power supply in its rightful place. Let's flip it on its side. Remove the expansion slot covers. You can take up to 3 or 4 out. You're going to be using the 12-volt high power port. Make sure to plug it in first because the Q latch will get in the way. If you have this type of combination, a Sapphire Nitro Plus or X9070 XT with a ASUS B850 motherboard, so just do it now. Make sure to put plenty of pressure, don't be scared to push on it, and you want to make sure that the connection is flush, and then you can sit the metal plate from the Sapphire Nitro Plus on top. Oh, I got it backwards. Let's try it again. There we go. That looks right. Remember when graphics cards were so much easier to install? Now it's such a lengthy process to actually install one. It's pretty ridiculous. At least we're almost there. All we have to do is connect the 12-volt high power port, adjust the cables with wire ties, and connect the ARGB. Now you know when you get to the finish line, but all you have to do is do some wire organization. Who doesn't love organizing wires? Honestly, I just want to slap the case on it and just get this PC started. Not too bad. All we gotta do is piece it together and see if it turns on. Let's cross our fingers. Whew, I thought that was gonna fall for a minute. We have a successful start to this PC. It looks like we're good to go. A successful PC build, which cost well under 2,000 USD, even cheaper than the RTX 5090, which is insane. We're inside of ASUS TUF UEFI BIOS, the UEFI BIOS utility tool. Right now it's in easy mode. Usually I like to set it to advanced mode. So far, looks good as it was successful with the 9600X 6-core processor. I hope you found this content very useful. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you stay tuned to see what type of benchmarks that we will pull out of this PC. If you're not part of the Big Wonderful Fan Bam, make sure you go down and hit the subscribe button for more, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Make sure you join the Fan Bam's Discord server, as we love to talk PCs and tech, and make sure you join in on Wednesdays and Saturdays for my live streams. Fan Bam guys, don't forget to follow my X handle for all the breaking and newest news. The handle is the same as my TikTok and IG as well. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask on the Discord channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo, signing out.